My name is Nate, and you're watching Some Shit I Wanted to Say. I hate social media. I hate everything it stands for. That said, I've met some really cool people through Instagram. I've grown as a shooter. I've grown my business. But generally speaking, broad strokes, hate social media. The biggest platforms we have at our disposal right now are clearly anti-2A. It is what it is. I know that our time here is limited and dwindling, so for the time being, I'll use these platforms for what they are, but generally, I hate them. All that said, I wanted to put a little bit of a brief message out about what RangeFox is, where it came from, sort of my why behind it, and where I see it heading. So what is RangeFox? If you're subscribed, clearly you already have a pretty good idea, but there's probably a good number of people who don't. Again, because I suck so bad at social media. Basically, RangeFox is an idea that I had about 5 years ago. I wanted to bring some focus to my own firearms training. I basically wanted this product and couldn't find it anywhere on either of the app stores. So my goal was to create an environment that would encourage people to train more often, encourage people to train with focus, and encourage people to dry fire. That was my goal. There's a lot of directions that this could head, but really I just wanted to create essentially Strava or a workout app for the shooting community. To be completely honest, this product was primarily for myself. I told myself in the very beginning of this that if nobody else ever signed up, I wanted to create something that I wanted to use, that I found valuable, that was going to help me. This was and continues to be a huge unknown, and sort of putting things in that framework made it a lot easier for me to jump off the cliff and write the first check. Over the first year and a half, or almost 2 years, I was working on this project. Nobody had any idea who I was or what this was. I didn't even have an Instagram account created for the first year or so that I was working on this. And then I created an Instagram account and started following along all of the usual cast of characters and started basically creeping on the IG2A community while I continued sort of wireframing out what I wanted to do. About 2 years into the process, I wrote my first check to the software development company that I use. That was a massive leap off the deep end. I basically committed to spending all of my life savings on bringing this sketch that I had on a bunch of pieces of paper into an App Store app. I chose iOS because there are more users and the users spend money more readily on apps than Android typically. So started with iOS, basically dumped my entire life savings into this project, and it took about a year of development to get the first MVP, minimum viable product, to the market on the App Store. For the next year or so, I ran that app through iOS. I used it myself. I got as many other people to use it as I could. I started making a few more connections with people and iterating on that product, basically working out the early bugs and the early tweaks. Not necessarily bugs, but features that didn't need to be in there, or adding features that I did want in there. After about a year on the Apple App Store, I wrote the first check for Android development. Android development took the better part of another year, but at that point I felt like we had sort of tweaked the iOS app a couple times, sort of worked a little bit of the early kinks out, and I felt pretty comfortable at that point duplicating what we had onto the Android platform. So I had a lot of people hang on for a long time through that waiting period. They were patient, I appreciate that, and Android was released just about a month ago. So that's kind of where we came from and how we got to where we are. So what's my why for this project? I basically wanted to improve my own proficiency with a firearm in two scenarios. An EDC situation. I live in the state of Vermont and we're constitutional carry here, so I'm able to carry a handgun every day in public, and I just wanted to increase my proficiency with a handgun, make sure that I was dry firing every day, touching that firearm every day, so that, God forbid, if I ever have to use it in the defense of myself or somebody that I care about, I have the requisite level of proficiency to be able to do that without adding to the problem. The other scenario that I wanted to develop proficiency in is basically a complete economic, social collapse. Plate carrier, battle belt, criticize that all you want, but that was another scenario that I wanted to develop proficiency within. I think the events of the last year or two have proven that that's not entirely outside the realm of possibility in our lifetimes. So those were my two main motivations when I started, and I thought along the way, if I could help somebody else develop proficiency through the use of this platform for whatever their goals might be, rock and roll. I wanted to help with that. I was also just really interested in developing an app. Like, I had never known anybody that had developed an app. It was completely unknown, foreign territory to me, and so I wanted to see how that all went and see if I could do it, basically. So where are we today? Rangefox is available in the App Store and on the Google Play Store. So both platforms are supported. There's a directory of a bunch of live fire drills in there. You can record your progress, watch yourself over time get better. There's a dry fire mode in there that encourages you to work with your firearm every day. Gives you a par timer to sort of work with at home. Gives you a list of disciplines to break down and work on in your dry fire training. Hopefully bring a little bit more focus to what you're doing. The dashboard allows you to kind of understand the balance between live fire and dry fire training in your life, and maybe help you adjust your behavior to hit your goals. I can say, all in all, for me personally, I've grown a lot as a shooter through this process. The first drill that I ever tried to run was the Tier 1 Concealed 3/7 drill. I had a 40 cal Glock with standard Glock iron sights, and could barely even hit the 8.5x11 printout, let alone one of the circles, when I first started. And through my learning and development and sort of getting outside of my comfort zone, not only developing this app, but also building these friendships and relationships and attending classes, I was able to pull that drill out of the folder the other day, and I didn't pass the time standard, but I was able to run it cleanly in 11 seconds with red dot Glock 19 from concealment. So am I able to pass that standard? No, but I'm decisively better than when I started, and that was my goal. So I'm going to continue to grow as a shooter personally. I'm going to continue to develop. I'm also going to continue to develop this platform going forward, but all in all, things are on the right track. So the big question now is, how do we move forward from here? There's basically two things that need to happen. I need to continue to develop new features so that the users that are in already are getting more and more value for their subscription, and I need to grow the audience. Both of those things are important if I want to continue to push this culture forward in the way that I've chosen to approach it. I have never taken $1 of pay out of this project, and I'm not going to until it gets where it needs to be. I have a vision of where I want to take this, nowhere near there yet, and I'm going to continue to reinvest subscriber dollars back into the development of this product until it grows to where I want it to be in terms of features and what it offers the community. So what are the things that I'm going to do to continue making that happen? I'm going to continue to leverage social media as much as I hate it. I have a goal of starting to put out short videos on my workflow and my goals and how I use the app on a range day or throughout the course of a week. I'm going to ORD again this year as a sponsor. Rick's been gracious enough to invite me back. I got to sponsor RXRD, a couple of them, and I'm going to continue on that train as long as Rick will have me. I want to connect with more and more people face to face. I think that's the best value for all of us. I'm going to continue to put videos up on YouTube when I go to these bigger events. I think the behind the scenes kind of stuff is exciting for people to see, and it helps kind of grow a little bit of community, and so I like giving that perspective. Ian Strimbeck of Rune Nation has been super supportive from way before day one of this project, and I'm going to continue to get out to his classes, train with him as a student. I've got a list of a number of other instructors that I'd like to travel around and train with, so definitely going to push sort of the grassroots in-person connection piece as I try and grow this community. Things I am not going to do moving forward to grow this. I'm not going to shill to social media influencers. I've never paid for a review or any kind of coverage over social media, and I never will. I'm not going to pay Instagram, Facebook, or Google ads to run ads for Rangefox, because I believe those advertising dollars go to support something that I do not agree with. So although that is a way that I could get this product in front of a bunch of different people, I just absolutely refuse to use our money, my money, the money that you've given me in subscribership in that way. I'm not going to take our dollars and turn them around and hand them to Instagram or Facebook or Google for that matter, as they continue to censor our community, censor our message, and essentially challenge the 2A at a very broad level. That will limit the speed at which I'm able to develop this product, but I couldn't care less. I would rather go slow and keep everything in-house than support these platforms that are basically undermining what I stand for here. So that's just a choice I've made, and it is what it is. This project has taken a ton out of me over the last few years. It's taken a ton of energy. I've traveled all over the place. This much risk is exhausting over a long haul, and if any of you have ever taken a massive leap of faith, you know what I'm talking about. And not to mention, I spent my entire life savings twice developing this project, once on Apple and then again on Android. It's a massive undertaking, and I've put a lot of things personally on hold to make this happen. I'm going to continue to invest my time and money into this project because I believe in it. But now that Android's up and running, I've got a couple of things that I've sort of backburnered that I want to start to pull up into the forefront. One of them is this. I've wanted to go to Montana and go on a mule deer hunt for a long time. I'm not a hunter. I've never hunted before, and so I don't really know what I'm doing. Actually, I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. So I'm going to film the whole process of getting geared up and learning what I need to learn, getting ready to go out there, and then actually film the whole trip out there. My plan is to stay in a rooftop tent on the back of my truck for about a week and a half or 2 weeks in eastern Montana, and the goal is to take down a nice sized mule deer. So that'll be a fun project to film and kind of share with you guys along the way. In a lot of ways, we're just at the starting line. If you've been following along with Range Fox for the last few years, I appreciate your support. I appreciate you being a part of what keeps me motivated to keep working on this. It really does mean a ton to me. The messages, the emails, that stuff really means a lot to me. I appreciate it. Like I said, I'm going to continue to work on developing this project. Super excited to have products in both app stores at this point. I've got a list of features that I'm going to be rolling out over the next 12 months or so. So super excited for what comes next. Thank you all for your support along the way. Stay tuned. I'm not going to quit until Range Fox is a better platform for the 2A community than Instagram.